Welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele, and I'm very excited today to be interviewing my colleague and mentor, Jyoti Wind. Jyoti, welcome.
Thank you, Lauren. It's good to be here.
Jyoti, I'm going to ask you in a moment to open this space, but I just want everyone to know that we have a very exciting topic today, and it happens to be one of my favorite ones. So hang on, everyone. We'll share that in just a moment. Jyoti, would you like to open the space?
I would. Thank you. Grandmothers, grandfathers, spirits of the East, we call to you. We ask for your kind hand on our shoulder and any insights you could provide. Grandmothers and grandfathers, spirits of the South, we call to you. We ask that you show us the right path for us. Grandmothers and grandfathers of the West, we call to you. Help us receive the healing individually that's needed now. Grandmothers and grandfathers of the North, we call to you. Help us learn how to rest in the cycle that is completing before the next one takes us. Grandfather Sky, we ask for your protection. Grandmother Earth, we ask for your mercy and compassion and a reminder of our own. And to that wise being that lives in our hearts, may that being inform us. May we hear that voice each day.
Thank you, Jyoti. So we're going to talk about one of my favorite deities.
Okay, we're going to talk about the Cailleach, the hag, the wise old woman, the creator of it all. And so I'd like to read something first, short, that kind of ties in all of it. It's called Embers. The embers burn quietly, unobtrusively, seeking anything in its path that no longer belongs. These embers, tended for years through meditation and soul growth, just need the air of daily practice to fan its flames.
Love that. So, Jyoti, we've just moved from passing the equinox. We're in autumn or fall, and we're a day away from the new moon. What inspired you to choose this topic today?
Well, we're in that time of year, as you said. I think about, the leaves falling. I'm starting to watch that accumulation, on my walks. And I think about the pile of leaves some people burn at the end of this season. And it's about letting go. The leaves fall from the trees teach us to let go of what's no longer needed. And it reminded me of a meditation I've done and led before, sometimes as a shamanic journey, sometimes as a guided meditation or visualization, and meeting with the Cailleach. And she usually has a fire going somewhere, and asking her permission after I introduce myself. I'm sure she knows who I am by now, but introducing myself and asking her if I can sit by her fire. And as things come up that I can, with her permission, put those things into her fire to help it burn stronger and taller.
Mhm. Yeah, this is one of my favorite times of year. And as someone that studies trees and works with tree medicine, the idea of trees knowing the exact time to drop their leaves in order to create the nutrients and compost that their roots will need over the winter, I find just remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a remarkable system. It's all part of a whole system. Everything that is needed and is available. And so when the trees know that it's time to start withdrawing their energy down into the roots, the chill of the evenings, the chill of the air remind them, I would imagine, to begin to pull that energy away from the branches down into the roots, where it will pool and keep the tree alive until that return of the light in December. And then with that extraction of energy from the branches, the leaves aren't being fed, and it's time for them to fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's such a beautiful reminder for all of us because I'm sure all of our listeners live somewhere where they can see a tree or two. And if you're in the northern hemisphere, you are in autumn right now. And that reminder to um, look inward and sift through what can be let go of at this time, and knowing that that will just fertilize um, and become rich composting soil for your next growth period.
Yes. Yes, I see that, and it's also like letting go of things that you don't need. Whether it's clothing, whether it's household things you don't use, and it's like regifting somebody else, with those things, or taking them somewhere where somebody can have a surprising find, exactly what they needed, and so it's a sharing in the letting go. That energy becomes a sharing with other people who might need it.
Another cycle, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Even though the fall is the harvest time, it is about taking things in. And with Mercury retrograde right now, it is about inner looking and a certain introspection. But it's also a time of letting go before the winter comes, before the sleep time in some cultures come, where you're hibernating, you're bedding down, you've got your books to read, you've got all the things you need for the winter, your pantry is stocked, however that works. And we don't necessarily honor the winter in the way we used to. And so in the fall, letting go of the superfluous and what's no longer needed makes it so you don't have superfluous stuff to sift through in the winter.
Sure. Because you don't have the energy for it. That's not the
No.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. So how could Cailleach help us with this process?
So as I see the Cailleach, she has this pyre, this fire that she tends, and anytime anybody wants to go visit her, she's very welcoming in her kind of gruff way, and always invites you to sit by her fire, and always invites you to put into her fire to make it richer, to make it more potent, anything that you don't need anymore. She even invites you into dancing in that fire with her. She'll meet you in that fire, in that bonfire or that pyre. She'll meet you there and dance with you there while the fire just burns away all the stuff that you don't really need to take forward.
Hmm, beautiful. Yeah, she is a little gruff, and I mean, she is an archetype, right? Of
Yes,
the hag, and
yes. Yes, and she's past the point of needing to make nice with people. You know what I mean? I mean, she's just the bare bones. of life and existence, and yet she has a heart, and you can go back many times to visit her, and she'll whisper in your ear, and you can have conversations with her if you're seeking something and some piece of knowledge. She'll know, and she'll have it ready for you. She has a heart. She is a creator archetype, and she's a destroyer archetype as well, because she takes what's no longer needed, and so she's an archetype of the crone, the end of life, the latter years of life. And in those years, a lot of times, um, people just don't have time for maybe as being as diplomatic or as generous in some ways. It's kind of like, are you going to do this or not? It's kind of like that energy. Do you need to carry this? No. Well, let's put that in the fire and carry on.
Yeah. Very practical.
Ah, very practical. Yes, bare bones practicality.
Yeah.
Yes.
It seems to really fit the time we're in.
I think it does. And I think that the paring down of goods, of attitudes, of belief systems, of um, personal opinions, places where we think we can't go in ourselves or in life. I think the paring down of all of that is what we're looking at right now,
Yeah.
because a lot of it stems from the Piscean age that we're leaving and going into a new time frame. I mean, we're not at the edge of the Aquarian age yet. We've got quite a bit. I will not see it in my lifetime, at least not this one. And it behooves us to skinny it down, to allow ourselves to release things that were more about where we've come from, society wise and personally, and not necessarily get into survival mode. We can thrive still, but we don't have to carry it all with us.
Mm. Wow. What a gift of freedom to accept that.
Yes, yes.
Jyoti, is there some cultural history behind that?
Celtic,
Okay.
Irish Celtic, maybe Scottish Celtic too. But I know the more the mythic parts of the Irish Celtic. And usually I would be doing this conversation and guided meditation more in October as we got closer to Halloween, Samhain. Um, but I just felt that this was up right now, especially with Mercury retrograde, that it's a good time to look inside and see what no longer fits and what it's time to let go of. And I was thinking that people, might listen to this, and they can always come back and listen to it again and do the visualization again if it's not right for them at this moment. Samhain at the end of October is a good time to come back and listen to this again and do the visualization or the meditation I'm going to lead.
I, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful suggestion, Jyoti. I was actually thinking, my sense is we all have so much to let go of. We could do this once a week between now and the end of October and just keep going, because there's always another layer to let go of.
Sure, sure, there always is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you think could fill in any gaps for folks?
Um, I think, there's information online about the Cailleach, and looking up Celtic myths, and being open to the archetypes, because they're there to help us see and work with the pieces of ourselves that it's time to look at. in our own growth, in our societal timing, in our evolution, any of those juncture points, and we can call on um, many different deities, not just the Cailleach, and they are available to us.
Great. So, in past episodes, you've talked about journeys and guided meditations and rituals, and I know you will be sharing something today. But if someone was particularly touched with this and wanted to work with the Cailleach in these coming weeks, do you have some suggestions for them to how to get deeper in touch with that?
I guess for me, it's about ritual, and it's about intention, and it's about asking. And we all have helper spirits, and we can ask, even if we don't know who they are, we can always ask our helper spirits to bring the Cailleach to us. We can do a ritual. We can have maybe an old tooth or an old bone that we found somewhere, and put it on our altar. Maybe there's leaves that are falling that are beautiful in their color and their fall dress, and we could put those on our altar. We can have a candle and a small bowl of water, the fire and water, the symbols of alchemical change. And maybe we could put a picture up of something that represents that energy, the hag energy, the old woman, the old wise woman who lives on the edge of town. We could put up a picture of a witch. I mean, for some people that might be a stretch, but there's a song on that circulates through Instagram that I absolutely love. And she takes the word witch and she says it's women in total control of themselves, of herself. Woman in total control of herself. I think that's how it goes. WITCH. And I love it.
I do too. I do too.
Yes, as a definition of witch instead of something that's scary and um, mythic in a different way.
Sure, sure. What a perfect time to take control of yourself and spend
Yes,
a little time with the Cailleach.
yes,
Great.
yes.
So, would you like to lead us on a meditation?
Sure, I'd love to. So close your eyes and take a nice deep breath. And you can approach this from a guided meditation or even a shamanic journey if that's your preference. So we're going to ask our helping spirits, whoever they might be, to take us to meet the Cailleach. So letting go of the day, we just picture our feet on the ground. And we're walking through a forest. And the forest begins to change to more of a bush and hedge kind of landscape. And then as we continue walking, noticing that there's mountains in the distance, we become aware that our ground cover is smaller, the air is drier, the dirt under our feet is sandier, and we realize we're approaching the desert. And we walk out into the desert, mountains in the distance, up ahead, and off to our right, we see a fire. It's a fairly small fire, but the flames catch our eye. And so we veer in that direction, and we see a being sitting by the fire, tending that fire, adding logs to it to make it burn and keep burning. Every once in a while, she throws a handful of maybe sage in there, some kind of scented wood, scented plant, dried herbs. And as we approach her, we look at her and we realize she's the Cailleach. She is the wise old crone, the hag, the woman who has lived and gathered wisdom through the whole of her lives. We introduce ourselves. She cackles. She knows you. We ask if we have permission to sit by her fire. She makes a gesture, and you sit down. And the fire is growing. It's getting hotter and hotter and taller and taller. And as you sit there, you realize there's an invitation here to pull out of yourselves attitudes that you are just so tired of carrying, and belief systems that no longer fit for where you want to go. You realize that there's things that you carry from your parents, from your family, that were more about them than they are you. And you throw those into the fire, and the fire burns brighter and taller. And as you sit there, you realize that there's some parts of you that just need a deeper level of letting go and refinement. And you look at the Cailleach, and she nods, and you stand up and you step into her fire. You step into that pyre, and she joins you. And you dance in those flames. And those flames eat away at the pieces of you that have no business going where you want to go. It's time to just let go of as much as you possibly can that energetically cannot go into this next time frame. Just stand and dance in those flames for a few minutes. Your heart has been transformed by the flames. As you step out of the fire, the Cailleach does as well. And you realize what a great service she has provided for you. And you bow to her. There's a love in you for her and what she has allowed for you. She whispers in your ear something you need to know. And also offers the invitation to return anytime. You leave her by her fire and you begin your return, always coming back the way you went, coming back to the main dirt path that's sandy and full of sagebrush, walking away from the mountains, entering a landscape of brush, and then hedges, and then the forest. And as you walk among the trees, you feel the coolness of who you are return to you, the coolness of your spirit after the heat of that fire. And you come back to your body, you come back to your room, you open your eyes, and you be present with yourself.
That was lovely, Jyoti. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
She feels very generous.
She is. She really is. Yep.
So anything else in closing?
I don't think so. I'll let that rest right there.
That's enough. Thank you everyone for joining us, and I would refer you to our show notes if you'd like to get in touch with Jyoti for any of her upcoming classes or perhaps an astrology reading.
That would be very nice.